Have you ever taken a moment to reflect on how aging transforms not just your body, but the way you perceive the world around you? As we grow older and enter our golden years, life presents us with a unique combination of challenges and opportunities. But within these challenges lies the incredible need for practical, down-to-earth wisdom. Wisdom that can help us navigate this stage of life with grace and confidence. The kind of wisdom that allows us to find joy and fulfillment, even as we face the changes that come with aging. In this video, I'm excited to share 7 impactful tips that will not only help you embrace the process of aging, but also guide you in restoring your peace, dignity, and sense of purpose. These aren't just feel-good words meant to soothe your soul. They are real, actionable pieces of advice that can change how you see yourself, how you relate to others, and how you define happiness as you grow older. So, why should you watch until the end? Because these tips could very well reshape the way you approach your later years. Whether it's learning to trust more wisely, letting go of past hurts, or giving greater importance to your mental health, these insights will provide you with the tools to reclaim joy, meaning, and a sense of balance in this precious stage of life. You deserve to live your golden years with peace and fulfillment, surrounded by relationships that matter, and a renewed sense of purpose. This video is about helping you not just survive, but thrive in your later years. I hope you'll join me on this journey as we dive into these life-changing insights together. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's take the first step toward embracing the wisdom of aging. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and activate the notification bell so you never miss another video. Your support truly means a lot to me, and if you found value in today's video, feel free to like and share it with anyone who could benefit from these lessons. If the topic of this video resonates with you, please leave a comment with 1. If it doesn't, feel free to leave a 0 to let me know how I can improve and create content that's even more helpful to you. Now, let's dive in and get started. Tip number 1. Don't trust blindly. Trust is an essential part of life, especially as we grow older. But I've learned through personal experience that blind trust can be one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make, particularly in later years. It's a hard truth to face, but one that brings invaluable clarity as we navigate the challenges of aging. Trust is vital, no doubt, but it must be rooted in wisdom, discernment, and most importantly, self-protection. I can't tell you how many times I've heard others say, trust everyone, but as time goes on, I've come to realize that it's not always that simple. Trusting others blindly can leave us vulnerable, and in our later years, vulnerability can be a heavy burden. One of the most difficult aspects of growing older is dealing with loneliness. Time has a way of making us long for companionship, someone to share our thoughts with, someone who can make us feel understood, someone who can light up the quiet spaces of our lives. It's completely natural to crave connection, especially when the years start adding up and the world seems to grow quieter around us. But this longing for companionship also opens up an emotional door. With every new person that enters your life, there's an inherent risk. Not everyone who steps into your world is there to offer genuine care. Not everyone who appears with a smile or a kind word is truly interested in your well-being. And the truth can sting. It stings deeply. Let me share a story that I hope will shed some light on this. Meet Susan, a 68-year-old widow who had been living alone in her quiet, somewhat lonely suburban neighborhood after the death of her beloved husband. The silence in her home became deafening, and each day felt heavier than the last. One day, Richard, a seemingly kind neighbor, began popping over, offering to help with small errands, bringing her little surprises, and chatting away about the weather or the world around them. Susan, feeling the weight of isolation, was overwhelmed with gratitude. She thought to herself, finally, someone who cares, someone who wants to help. Her heart, aching for connection, began to trust Richard more and more with each visit. But time, as it always does, revealed truths that couldn't be ignored. Slowly, Richard began to ask for small loans here and there. "I'm struggling this month, Susan. Could you help me out?" He'd say, his voice always calm and reassuring. Trusting his genuine kindness, Susan agreed, hoping to help in any way she could. As time went on, Richard's requests became larger and more frequent. Eventually, he convinced Susan to co-sign on a debt that he claimed he couldn't afford. He reassured her that it would be fine, that everything would work out. But one day, without warning, Richard disappeared. Just like that, gone. Susan found herself not only emotionally crushed but financially burdened with the debt Richard left behind. This is a tragedy that's all too common. You see, it's easy to be swept away by the kindness of someone who enters your life when you're at your most vulnerable. They offer a glimmer of hope, of companionship, of solace. But when the smoke clears, you're left with nothing but heartbreak and regret, often compounded by financial losses that you may never recover from. And what hurts the most is that it wasn't even your fault. You simply trusted too deeply, too blindly. It's a painful reminder that not everyone who shows up with kind words has your best interests at heart. That being said, I don't want you to walk away from this thinking that you should isolate yourself or shut off from forming new relationships. Far from it. But as we age, it becomes essential to be more discerning about who we allow into our hearts and lives. It's a matter of self-preservation. Pay attention. Watch how people act over time, how they treat you when you're no longer useful to them when the good times have passed. Are their words matching their actions? Are they giving freely without expecting something in return, or are they always asking for more? Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Setting boundaries isn't just an act of self-care, it's a vital act of self-respect. And sometimes, saying no is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. As we grow older, our emotional and mental well-being should become one of our top priorities. It's not just about avoiding harm, it's about making sure that the years ahead are filled with peace, joy, and meaningful relationships that truly enrich our lives. Imagine the kind of life you deserve. One where you look back and see a small circle of friends who truly love and care for you. These people will be there because they value you for who you are, not for what you can offer them. That's life worth living. And it all starts with trusting wisely, not blindly. Learning to trust wisely doesn't mean you lose your ability to love or become cynical about the world. It simply means that you take more time to observe, to reflect, and to be intentional in who you welcome into your life. When you practice this kind of trust, you not only safeguard your heart but also create space for relationships that are grounded in genuine love and care. And trust me when I say, it's worth it. By being selective, you can build a life surrounded by people who nurture your soul, not drain it. That's the kind of love and companionship you deserve in your later years. Choose wisely, trust cautiously, and remember, your peace and well-being are priceless. Tip number 2. Stop living to please others, especially your family. I know this might be hard to hear, and even harder to accept, but it's a truth that, deep down, we all need to face. We cannot continue living our lives solely to meet the expectations of others, particularly our families. For years, many of us have believed that putting our children, grandchildren, or spouses before ourselves was the ultimate expression of love. But as time goes on, it becomes painfully clear that constantly sacrificing our well-being for others is not an act of love. It is a slow form of self-erasure. When we prioritize others at the expense of our happiness, we begin to feel imprisoned, suffocated by the weight of responsibilities that we never asked for, and certainly don't deserve. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Let me share the story of Diane, a 72-year-old widow who spent decades giving everything she had to her family. Diane devoted herself to caring for her husband, Robert, her son Tom, and her grandchildren, sacrificing her dreams and desires to make sure their lives were comfortable. After Robert passed away, she continued to pour her resources and energy into helping her son. She used her savings to help him buy a new home, paid for her grandchildren's education, and even bailed Tom out when he faced financial troubles. Despite living on a fixed income and dealing with her health challenges, Diane never hesitated to put their needs before her own. But when she needed help, after undergoing a major surgery, her son, Tom, turned his back on her. He was too busy with his job and family, he claimed, to help his mother. That's when Diane experienced the gut-wrenching realization. Despite everything she had sacrificed, no one seemed to appreciate her. She wasn't met with gratitude or love. She was simply expected to keep giving, with no acknowledgement of the toll it was taking on her health, her happiness, or her well-being. Diane's experience is not an isolated one. When we spend our lives giving and giving, we often forget to ask ourselves, who is there to care for me? And too often, the heartbreaking answer is no one. We become drained, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and yet the demands never stop. Our families, often without even realizing it, begin to take us for granted. They see us as a constant source of support, not as individuals with our own needs and desires. We are expected to keep sacrificing, to keep giving, and to keep doing until we have nothing left to give. This is where the bitterness creeps in. We question our worth and our value and wonder why, after all we've done for others, it feels as though no one truly cares for us in return. As we grow older, this is the time to stop and reflect. This is the phase of life where we should be rediscovering who we are. We should be investing in our dreams, passions, and desires, things that were once put aside in the name of family, duty, or obligation. Choosing to live for ourselves, to take care of our own needs and happiness, is not selfish, it is necessary. It is an act of self-preservation, of reclaiming our lives. Just imagine if Diane had decided, just once, to take some of her savings and travel the world, or if she had spent time exploring a hobby or activity she had always longed to try. She would have felt so much more alive, fulfilled, and, most importantly, free. The truth is, if the people who love you truly care for you, they will understand when you start to put yourself first. If they don't, then that's something they need to work through. But you have already given so much of yourself. You've done more than enough for others. Now, it's your turn. It's time to live for you, to finally release yourself from the chains of other people's expectations. Take a moment. What brings you joy? What makes your heart sing? This is your time, your precious time, to live freely and fully. After a lifetime of caring for others, it's time to care for yourself. You deserve to nurture your soul, embrace the life you've dreamed of, and rediscover the joy that was once buried under the weight of responsibilities. Embrace this new chapter with open arms. You've earned it. Tip number 3. Don't be afraid to distance yourself from toxic people, even if they are family. For many of us, family is more than just a group of people. We see them as our core, the very fabric that shapes who we are. It's a bond that's often thought of as sacred, unbreakable, and unconditional. We're told that no matter what, family should come first, and that loyalty to our loved ones is an unquestionable virtue. But here's the difficult truth that we rarely want to confront. Not all family relationships are healthy. Some family dynamics are toxic, draining our energy and robbing us of our peace. And sometimes, we find ourselves struggling with the painful reality that our love for our family must not come at the expense of our emotional well-being. Take Thomas, for example. He is a retired father, quietly living alone in the suburbs. For a long time, his daughter Rachel would visit him. She was his only child, after all, and he cherished their time together. But over the years, Thomas started to see a troubling pattern. Rachel would visit only when she needed something. Money for a car repair, help with bills, or some other financial emergency. At first, Thomas was more than happy to help. He wanted to be there for her, to support her in her times of need. It felt good to be needed, to be able to provide for his daughter. But as time went on, something shifted. Whenever Thomas couldn't offer the assistance Rachel asked for, or worse, when he set boundaries, she would lash out. She'd get angry, stop speaking to him for months, and make him feel like he was worthless, like his love was conditional upon his ability to give. His visits with her stopped feeling like moments of connection and more like transactions, leaving him emotionally exhausted and emotionally bruised. The story of Thomas isn't unique. It's a reality that many of us face as we grow older, the crushing guilt of setting boundaries with family. Society ingrains this belief that family is everything, that we should forgive any harm, overlook the mistakes, and endure the pain because love is unconditional. We're told that we should stick it out, make sacrifices, and prioritize family over everything else. But at what cost? No love, no matter how deep or how long-standing, should ever come at the expense of your mental health, your emotional stability, or your self-respect. Setting boundaries with family, or even distancing yourself from toxic family members, is not a sign of disloyalty or selfishness. It's an act of self-care and self-love. It's a recognition that your peace of mind, your emotional health, and your well-being are worth protecting. When it comes to toxic relationships rooted in manipulation, emotional exploitation, or disrespect, it's essential to remember that they do not define you. Just because someone shares your blood doesn't mean they have the right to drain you of everything you've worked so hard to build. Distancing yourself from these individuals is not about abandoning them or cutting them out of your life out of spite. It's about protecting your heart, your soul, and your sense of self. It's about saying, I matter, too. I deserve peace. Picture a life where, instead of being constantly weighed down by negativity and emotional manipulation, you're surrounded by people who lift you and fill your days with joy, understanding, and warmth. The truth is, setting boundaries is one of the hardest decisions you'll ever make, especially with family. It feels almost impossible at times because we are conditioned to believe that we must always put our family's needs before our own. But the reality is that these boundaries don't just protect your inner peace. They make room for new, genuine, and meaningful relationships. They create space for connections that are rooted in mutual respect, love, and support. The kind of relationships you deserve after a lifetime of giving. As we enter the later stages of life, it's not a time for silent suffering or for continually swallowing our pain in the name of family duty. It's a time to reclaim your serenity, your happiness, and your sense of self-worth. If a relationship, no matter how close or long-standing, only brings you heartache, stress, or resentment, you have every right to step back. You have the right to choose peace, to protect your emotional health, and to say no to toxic patterns. Don't let guilt hold you hostage. You deserve to spend these precious years surrounded by the kind of people who cherish and uplift you. After all the years of giving, it's time for you to receive the care, kindness, and love you have always given to others. You've earned it. You are worth it. Tip number 4. Stop expecting others to recognize your sacrifices. Have you ever paused to think about all the times you put others before yourself? The countless moments when you selflessly prioritized your children, your partner, your parents, or even friends. You sacrificed pieces of yourself, your time, your dreams, your well-being, believing that one day someone would recognize the immense love, effort, and energy you poured into their lives. It's a beautifully hopeful thought, isn't it? The belief that the very people you've supported would, in turn, acknowledge your sacrifices and reflect the gratitude you so deeply deserve. But reality, as we often learn, doesn't always unfold the way we imagine. And let's face it, sometimes that recognition, the one you've been waiting for, might never come. That's a harsh truth to accept. It can feel like a punch to the gut, leaving you to question whether all that you gave, those quiet, unspoken sacrifices, were ever truly worth it. Take Nancy's story, for example. Nancy is a woman whose entire life is devoted to the well-being of her family. She worked relentlessly, often at the cost of her dreams, to build a future for her children. Her son, David, had big aspirations of starting his own business, and Nancy sacrificed everything to support him, believing that one day he would acknowledge the depth of her dedication. When David's business flourished, Nancy expected him to pause, to thank her, to understand all that she had done to help him reach that point. Instead, what she received was a cruel reminder of her unmet expectations. David didn't offer gratitude. He asked for more. More time, more money, more help. And when Nancy herself needed help, after a storm had damaged her home, her son's response was cold and indifferent. He was too busy with his own life. In that moment, Nancy faced the gut-wrenching truth that, despite all her sacrifices, the recognition she so desperately longed for would never come. Nancy's painful realization is a truth we all must face. When we constantly seek recognition for our sacrifices, we're unknowingly giving others the power to define our happiness. We open ourselves up to deep disappointment, and when that acknowledgement doesn't materialize, that disappointment has the potential to fester into resentment. How many of us have carried that weight, replaying old sacrifices in our minds, tainted by bitterness, simply because they weren't appreciated? It hurts to admit it, but sometimes that resentment can chip away at our relationships, leaving us questioning our worth, our value, and our sense of self. But here's a truth that can set you free. The value of your sacrifices does not hinge on whether others recognize them. The love, the care, the effort you give, it's a reflection of who you are at your core. Your strength, your compassion, your unwavering character. Those acts don't lose their worth just because they go unnoticed. You don't need validation from others to know that what you did matters. The true measure of your sacrifice lies in the intention behind it. Did you do it because it was right? Because you wanted to help? Because you loved unconditionally? If the answer is yes, then that is more than enough reason to feel a quiet, profound sense of pride. That is the real reward. Imagine how liberating it would be if you no longer based your happiness on someone else's acknowledgement. Picture the freedom in living authentically, knowing that your actions are enough, whether anyone else sees them or not. This shift, from seeking validation to embracing self-worth, allows you to release the burden of unmet expectations. It lets you step into a life that is truly yours, one where your happiness is not contingent on anyone else's recognition, but on your standards. It's in this space of self-empowerment that you'll find peace, a peace that comes from within, not from outside approval. Your sacrifices, no matter how small they may seem, are monumental. They reflect your strength, your generosity, and the profound love you have for others. And if, by chance, they never receive the praise you thought they would, that doesn't diminish their value. It highlights the incredible selflessness within you, the ability to give without expecting anything in return. This is a form of self-love that goes beyond words. It's a quiet resilience, a powerful strength that allows you to hold your head high, knowing that you gave from a place of pure love, with no strings attached. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. Remind yourself daily of this simple, yet powerful truth. Your worth is not tied to the recognition of others. It resides in the courage you carry within, in the generosity that flows from your heart, and in your authentic self. This strength, your strength, has always been with you, guiding you through the struggles and triumphs of life. By letting go of the need for external validation, you reclaim your power, your joy, and your peace. You're free to live fully in each moment, knowing that your self-worth is not something others can give or take away. It's yours to define, and it has always been enough. Tip number 5. Don't use age as an excuse to resist change. It's a common belief that age is an unmovable wall that prevents us from evolving. But let's be real for a moment. That's just a story we've been told by society. How many times have we, out of fear or doubt, dismissed a new opportunity, a thrilling hobby, or a path to self-discovery, thinking to ourselves, "I'm too old for that." We've all been there, avoiding change because we thought we had passed some invisible expiration date. Maybe it was learning a new skill, breaking a long-standing habit, changing your lifestyle, or even allowing yourself to open up to a new relationship. But here's the truth. As long as you're breathing, you still have time. Time to grow, time to evolve, and time to embrace the endless opportunities that lie ahead. Take George, for example. A 68-year-old man who had always dreamed of painting but never allowed himself to pick up a brush because he believed it was too late to start. He had convinced himself that the doors to creativity had long been closed for him. Then one day, his granddaughter Emily, full of youthful excitement, encouraged him to join a local painting class she was taking. Initially, George felt out of place, surrounded by younger students, battling the nagging voice inside his head that told him he was too old for such endeavors. But something miraculous happened after just a few classes. He found a new creative outlet that sparked joy in his heart. He discovered a new community of like-minded friends who shared his interests and passion. Painting wasn't just a hobby. It became a tool for rediscovery, for reconnecting with the creative, vibrant person he had always been, no matter his age. George's story isn't just about painting. It's about remembering that life is not over when you hit a certain age. It's just the beginning of an exciting new chapter filled with potential. So let's ask ourselves, why should "it's too late" ever stop us from embracing change? The missed opportunities, the dreams left on the shelf, they don't exist because they are out of our reach. They exist because we've convinced ourselves that they no longer belong to us. The truth is, the obstacle is never our age. It's our mindset. As we grow older, we gain something extraordinary: wisdom. The kind of wisdom that comes from living through challenges, from surviving the storms of life, and from learning what truly matters. This wisdom is a gift, allowing us to face change with a sense of purpose, confidence, and resilience, instead of retreating from it with fear. Ask yourself, why can't this stage of life be as full of discovery as the earlier ones? You've already overcome the trials of youth, adulthood, and middle age. Why not carry that same adventurous spirit with you into your golden years? It doesn't have to be a massive leap. Start small. Try something you've always wanted to do but never thought you could, like picking up a forgotten hobby, traveling to a place that's always called to you, or even changing something in your daily life that's no longer serving your happiness. Change isn't about impressing anyone else. It's about finding the joy and fulfillment that belongs solely to you. The changes you make in your later years often become the most powerful ones because they're rooted in self-awareness, self-respect, and a deep understanding of who you truly are. When you choose to embrace change, you're not just adding years to your life, you're adding life to your years. Age is nothing more than a number. It does not define your potential. Imagine if you could see aging not as a limitation, but as the foundation for a fresh start, a launching pad for new dreams and possibilities. You would realize that your potential has no expiration date and that there is always something new to discover, learn, and experience. Instead of viewing aging as a finish line, consider it the starting point for new adventures, new goals, and new ways of living. With each year that passes, you gather more wisdom, more insight, and more strength. Every life lesson learned adds to your toolbox, making you better equipped to face the future with courage and grace. Let go of the outdated belief that age is the end of new beginnings. Know this: as long as you have breath, you can grow, change, and enrich your life. Life continues to present you with opportunities, new joys, and unexplored facets of yourself. It's up to you whether you choose to seize them. Aging is not a time to cling to the past, but to embrace the present and the future. This is the time to create new memories, build new relationships, and embark on new adventures that will bring you pride and joy for years to come. You are not defined by your age, but by the choices you make today. You deserve to live vibrantly, with passion and purpose, no matter how many years have passed. Life is not slowing down. Neither should you. Tip number 6. Don't cling to the past as if it's your only refuge. As we grow older, it's only natural that our memories from younger years become like cherished treasures we hold close. Those moments of laughter, of victory over obstacles, of achieving dreams we once thought impossible. These memories shine like golden beacons, constantly calling us back to a time when life felt so vibrant, so full of promise. We sometimes cling to those times like lifelines, as if the past were a soft, comforting refuge from the realities of the present. They remind us of a time when we were at our best, and we long to return to those feelings of joy, success, and fulfillment. But there's a danger in holding on too tightly. If we let our past define us too rigidly, we risk closing our eyes to the beauty and opportunities the present has to offer. Think about Mary, a retired high school teacher whose life was once filled with the voices of students eager for her wisdom, the admiration of colleagues, and the sense of accomplishment that came with shaping young minds. For Mary, those years in the classroom weren't just work, they were her whole world. They were the peak of her existence, a time when she felt truly seen and valued. But after retirement, she found herself lost, caught in a whirlwind of memories, and haunted by the feeling that she could never again achieve that same sense of respect and admiration. She couldn't fathom that her current life could compare to the glorious past. She began to withdraw, isolating herself from the outside world. Her friends would invite her to lunch or try to encourage her to join a book club or take a walk, but she declined. She didn't want to face the reality that the best parts of her life might be behind her. Then came Barbara, a friend who refused to let Mary slip into this quiet despair. With a gentle push, Barbara suggested Mary join a local art class. At first, Mary hesitated, caught up in the belief that nothing could ever bring her the joy or satisfaction that teaching once did. But slowly, as Mary dipped her brush into the paint and began to create, something incredible happened. The present started to reveal itself as a treasure trove of joy and potential. Mary discovered new passions she hadn't even known existed, met new people who brought fresh perspectives into her life, and found a new sense of purpose in her days. It wasn't about replacing the past, it was about embracing the present, allowing it to breathe new life into her. Nostalgia is not the enemy. It's natural, even comforting, to look back on our lives and feel pride in all we've accomplished and the love we've shared. But we must be careful not to let it become a heavy anchor that keeps us tied to a time that has already passed. When we live too much in the past, we trap ourselves in a cage of memories, preventing us from experiencing the richness and joy that today has to offer. The truth is, the past is done. It shaped us, yes, but it's not our sole identity. What matters now is the opportunity before us, the chance to continue creating, loving, and growing. Your best days are not necessarily behind you. They are waiting for you, hidden in the moments of today. You have the power to make new memories, discover new passions, and connect with the world in ways you never thought possible. The final years of life should not be about retreating into the comfort of old memories. They should be about moving forward with courage, exploring new horizons, and finding new reasons to celebrate each day. There are still so many joys to experience, and they are all waiting for you to embrace them. Don't let the weight of past achievements or regrets cloud your vision of what's possible now. Your future is still full of potential. Let it unfold. Life is still moving, still inviting you to take part in its wonders. If you are willing to let go of the past and step into the present, amazing things are waiting for you in this beautiful stage of life. Tip number 7. Prioritize your mental health at every stage of life. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As we age, it's so easy to become consumed by the physical aspects of our well-being, trying to stay in shape, eating the right foods, and keeping up with medical appointments. After all, these things are essential for maintaining a healthy body. However, in our pursuit of physical health, there's one crucial element that often gets pushed aside: our mental health. It's not an afterthought, a luxury, or something to deal with when we have time. It is the cornerstone of a life well lived, particularly in our later years. Without a strong mental and emotional foundation, even the healthiest body can feel empty and unfulfilled. As we navigate the natural course of aging, we face many challenges that can weigh heavily on our hearts and minds. Our children grow up and leave the nest, our closest friends and family members change, and we experience the inevitable loss of loved ones. These transitions are part of life, yes, but they don't make them any less painful or isolating. It's easy to feel as if life has left us behind, especially when we find ourselves alone more often than we would like. These feelings of emptiness, loneliness, or confusion are so common. but they do not have to define us. Instead of letting these emotions take over, we must take proactive steps to care for our mental health, no matter how tough it may seem. Our minds deserve as much attention as our bodies. One of the most powerful ways to safeguard our mental health is to find meaning in the smallest of daily moments. I know it's tempting to think that we must accomplish something grand to feel fulfilled, but sometimes it's not the big achievements that bring joy, it's the little, everyday moments that make all the difference. Whether it's spending a peaceful morning in the garden, volunteering for a cause close to your heart, or even taking a quiet walk and appreciating the beauty around you, these moments matter. For example, Barbara, a 75-year-old widow, faced deep depression after losing her husband. Instead of allowing herself to be consumed by sadness, she made a brave decision. She joined a local dance club. Not only did this get her moving and feeling physically better, but it also helped her meet new friends and experience a renewed sense of purpose and joy. The simplest of steps, a new hobby, a new experience, can open doors to healing and spark a fresh excitement in life. Another aspect of mental health is learning to gracefully accept the changes that come with growing older. Yes, our bodies may not work the way they once did, and there may be things we can no longer do, but rather than focusing on what we've lost, we need to shift our focus to what we still have. We may find that in letting go of the things we once relied on, we make room for new passions, hobbies, and experiences that we never considered before. In fact, without the burden of work and the constant demands of raising a family, this stage of life can become an incredible opportunity for self-discovery. It's a time to finally pursue what truly brings you joy and peace. This might be the moment to reignite old dreams or uncover new desires. The freedom we have as we age is truly beautiful. The possibilities are endless if we just permit ourselves to explore. And let's not forget, there is no shame in asking for help. In our society, we sometimes believe that asking for support is a sign of weakness, especially as we age. But this could not be further from the truth. Reaching out for help, whether it's from family, friends, or even a professional, is one of the bravest things we can do. Take Robert's story, for instance. At 80 years old, Robert felt abandoned when his children moved away. Instead of shutting himself off from the world, he decided to seek support. He joined a local group for people facing similar challenges. Through this group, Robert not only found companionship and empathy but also a renewed sense of connection. It gave him a sense of belonging and comfort that helped him embrace his life with new strength. The truth is that your mental health shapes everything. How you feel, how you see the world, and how you experience life. It affects everything, from how you interact with others to how you appreciate the simple moments of your day. It is so important that we take the time to nurture our emotional well-being, whether that means focusing on joy in the small things or finding deeper meaning in our relationships. Yes, life will bring its fair share of challenges. But how we respond, how we care for ourselves emotionally, defines the quality of those years. Age is not a barrier to happiness. It's a gift. It's a chance to live more intentionally, with more peace, purpose, and deep contentment than ever before. So, as you step into the golden years, let mental health be your priority. The joy, peace, and love you find will make all the difference in your journey. As we wrap up today's discussion on the importance of prioritizing mental health as we age, I hope you've gained some valuable insights on how to nurture your emotional well-being, find joy in the little moments, and embrace the changes that come with growing older. So, what have you learned so far? What is one thing that stood out to you and that you plan to put into practice in your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share your reflections in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep creating content that encourages, empowers, and inspires us all to live our best lives, no matter our age. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.